And I noticed there's a mound around the trunk here at the
Yes.
ground. So what
Yes.
have you got going on
I've
here?
always layer my organic matter, wood chips. I put down wood chips. I put down, and I usually cover my wood chips with straw so that they break down even faster, because wood chips are going to bring in the fungi. And what you want is fungal networks for your fruit trees, your nut trees, your perennials in general thrive on fungal environments. And because they come originally from forest ecosystems, right? Where you had leaves and litter and tons of fungal networks. Versus if you're putting something in the lawn, that's a very bacterial rich environment. So it's not supporting your fruits and your perennials as much as a really nice fungal environment. And I find one of the best things to create that is wood chips. And it's usually a free resource, or pay for it. It's worth it. Use mulch if you want, and then cover it with straw or some other cap, because then that holds the moisture so the fungi can move in and break it down. And that begins to feed your trees, because the fungi grab extra nutrients and minerals from the soil and feed it in exchange to your trees. So really you're fertilizing, you're mulching, and then you're also creating a sponge. It's like your irrigation. And the wider, usually I go much wider than this in my mulching. I usually go a minimum of 6 feet, and I like to go 8 or 10 feet. And that way I'm creating literally my irrigation in one go, because it acts like a sponge and it holds it. Because if you have like a little mulch ring like this and then everything else around is dry, it's gonna, all that area around you is gonna suck the moisture right out from your little mulch area. So really think big when you're thinking about mulch. Think big and think deep. You can easily start a foot high. I have a recipe in one of my books called Mike's Deluxe Sheet Mulch, right? You can do cardboard, newspaper, wood chips, straw, manure, compost, all these things. Sometimes it's called lasagna gardening. And ideally you do that in advance of even planting. That way it's starting to transform what's probably hard, crappy soil with a bunch of weeds or grass on it into something really friable and really nice. Holds moisture, has fungal networks, has nutrients ready to go for you. And for what? All you did was just chuck down these organic waste streams, right? You're not out there working hard trying to improve that soil. You're just laying it and you're waiting. You're letting time bring in that fertility. Now, it'll drop. So if it starts at a foot high, don't worry, it's going to drop down dramatically, especially during the hot summer season. It'll compost down, so it may only be 6 or 8 inches. And if you're really in a hurry, you want to sheet mulch and you want to plant, go ahead. Just make sure that your sheet mulch is not riding up the trunk of your fruit trees or whatever you're planting, because that can rot the stems. So just, kind of create a little inverted volcano and then do your sheet mulch all at one time. And then you've set the stage for good soil building, irrigation, and a fruitful future.
That's awesome, Michael. Thank you. And we were talking before, you have this, all this carbon and organic material here that is making a fertilizer and helping out naturally, slow release fertilizer here. Why would somebody not want to add something like Miracle-Gro or some type of other synthetic fertilizer on a system like this?
Good question. So when you're adding a fertilizer, you're literally burning out the beneficial microbes and bacteria and fungi in the soil, because they're basically salts, and they literally will burn your soil life. So you're not building soil, and soil is the essence of your health and ultimate productivity. So by jumping in there with some kind of quick fertilizer to boost things, you're taking away your longevity of the health of your tree and your soil. It's all about the soil. So feed the soil, and it's really all about the fungi. So you really want to stimulate the fungi in your soil, and by doing that, use the organic matter. Now, the exception to this is manure. Manure, especially if it's mixed up really well with bedding and organic matter, can be a nice add or balance to building your soil, because it's got a balance to it. You don't want super fresh manure. You want something that's had some age to it. Horse manure, cow manure is great. Chicken manure can be very hot, and you want to make sure that it's aged a bit and well mixed with straw or some kind of other carbon material. And then by adding that to your mulch system, that does add a nice amount of fertility, food, and organic matter together. So you can't beat manure. Manure has always been used for the best gardens and the best growing. So if you have access to good, healthy manure, use manure. Otherwise, keep layering your organic matter and you'll build that soil. Now, the one thing that does get leached out of soils is your minerals. They're hard to sort of replace easily, like a lot of your other nutrients, which do get replaced when you're adding organic matter. So you might look for local stone dust, something from a local quarry that has, you know, those mineral elements in it, and add that to your garden and add that to your trees. It's like one of the few amendments that I will recommend adding to your growing, you know, your growing system. So. Yeah.
So Michael, you and I know each other have for a while, and we take a lot for granted because we know each other's experience, but I'm sure others will have questions. So how can they get a hold of you if they have questions?
Well, the YouTube, you know, ask questions on the YouTube channel. That's probably one of the easiest things. I have courses, I have books, you know, I've done a lot to get my knowledge out there. So you can interact with me, you know, virtually, you know, through some of my courses, my website, my books jump into a lot of these details. You know, I've got free webinars on a lot of my favorite fruits and other ways to do these things. So, you know, my life journey now is to get all that I know out there so that it can be easily accessed all the time, versus necessarily being, you know, one-on-one. So look for my material, you'll learn a lot. And then, yeah, send me pictures. Let me know what you're doing. I'd love to see it.
Well, we thank you very much for giving back and giving so much to the community. We will include links in the show notes to his books, his YouTube channel, and his website. Thank you very much, Michael, and thank you very much, viewers, and I hope you have a wonderful day.